ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to those two geeks. He's Alex. I'm Joe. I'm on the go. So let's go.
The ironic thing is if you hadn't said you were on the go, I'm sure they would have figured it out because as soon as you said "ladies and gentlemen," there was this really weird like bump in the sound, and I'm leaving it in there
Yeah,
because it is what it is. But yeah, it was the
yeah.
strangest thing. So today
This
we are
is life.
talking. Yeah, it is exactly. Yeah, today we've finally decided to talk about Thunderbolts. Complete. Yeah, we'll spoiler it. We're not gonna not talk about
Yeah,
stuff.
yep,
Uh, it's been out
yeah.
for a
It's too
couple of weeks
important.
at this point. Joe has finally
Yep,
seen it. I have still only seen it once, not because I don't want to see it again, just because I haven't had a chance to go back. Um,
right.
yeah, I so in a
It,
vague
it
effort,
it exceeded all my expectations for
right?
what I
So
expected.
in a vague effort to keep it relatively structured,
Mm.
what was your overall impression? Because like I said to you that when I said I was going to go see it again, I mean that's my talk
Yeah,
for
that
I
was the million.
really
You
yeah
really
I
liked it.
really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. I really liked it.
It was extremely enjoyable. I was
Yeah.
expecting Marvel's version of the Suicide Squad. I was happy to see that it wasn't a Suicide Squad carbon copy,
Yep.
and it tackled a subject matter that I thought is very brave, and
Mm-hmm.
also they did it in a tasteful way. I mean, it was dark. People who don't think this movie's going to be dark just think Guardians 3 with Rocket and how dark that was. It was as
Yeah.
dark as that at times, if not darker,
Yep.
because it didn't shy away from things. It used some things as a butt of a joke, like meth or whatever. But when we get into Bob and his childhood and his inner turmoil, it is fucking
It,
pitch black dark, and
I
it
and I
had to
think
be that way.
and I think what's so good about it is that while they showed what happened to Bob in his childhood, it also
Yeah,
didn't explicitly show us. So it's one of those cases of
yeah.
where the
It wasn't.
what's left to your
It wasn't like
imagination
Todd
is
Phillips.
no.
That's what I was happy about.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was yeah, like overall, I thought it was a really good movie. I think it was a really in
It's
like
hysterical.
so
It's
often when you
hysterical.
see movies where the big bad is like a member of the team, etc. So often when you
Uh-huh.
see that, it's like, well, is this gonna, how's it gonna work, etc. And I think this is arguably one of the best movies I have seen where the big bad ultimately
Mm-hmm.
is a yes, the
Concept.
main
Yeah.
the main threat, the void, is also the Sentry, who
Mental
is
illness.
also Bob, and that's just it. Like it's dealing with depression, mental
Yeah.
illness.
The it wasn't the concept of one bad day like the Joker, where one bad
No.
day can change your whole life. This was your whole life is bad. You're having tons of bad days,
Hmm.
and how
And
you deal with it and what happens when it's unchecked.
I think that's what's so key is that for for Bob, he wasn't dealing with it in constructive ways initially, and it wasn't until he's
Yelena.
trying to talk to Yelena, and oh,
Yeah.
you just stuff it back down, and then she
Oh,
comes back and
no,
says,
so good.
I was wrong.
I was wrong.
It's family, it's friends, it's the people you surround yourself with. I was like,
Yeah, it was brilliant.
I
It was a brilliant
it's
way to show that
brilliant.
yes, it's dark, but there's also hope. It's not
And
hopeless.
exactly, and then you still got like that scene where they're all coming together
Ah,
in the void, and yeah, Elena's looking like, are you all okay? And Bucky's like, oh yeah, I've had a great life, nothing bad's ever
yeah,
happened. And you're like, there is so much said in that
yeah.
scene between
It's
all of
so
them
good.
that like, she looks at John Walker and he kind of shrugs. It's like, I'm not okay, but I'm okay. Like all of
Yeah,
them
they
were
all dealt with
suffering.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah, and
You'll
it's
the grief of her sister and grief
yeah,
of not being part of anything anymore, and her whole life was a construct. So, like, Red Guardian is truly her dad.
yeah.
In her
I,
eyes, that's her dad.
and I love it
Oh,
the scene where she finally goes, Dad, and he throws her, or whatever happens, but it's that moment where she finally accepts that
yeah,
this awkward, you know kind of very dad joke like guy is the man that's done his very best
yeah.
for her. He puts her above anything
Oh,
and
and he loves
everything.
her.
Yeah, like
immensely.
him driving across
Yeah.
country, you know, it's there's
Oh
there's
my
so much about this movie that I loved, so much about the movie that I loved, and I can't think of a single thing that I would
dude.
have like.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was better than a lot of things that I thought. And I know my friend was complaining about it because he said it was like bootleg Superman. And basically what happened was it was stupid because he's like, oh, it was, he's like, I don't go to the movies to get a PSA and this and that. And I was like, well, here's the thing. We need to have these types of PSA. The reason why this crisis of mental health is so bad, people opt not to talk about it. People
Hmm.
opt not to pretend it exists. Especially, I hate to be sexist here, but I'm going to be very sexist. In males, it's so much worse. It's so
I
much
don't even,
more of
I don't even necessarily think that's a sexist statement. I think it's more a case of like, is men have been conditioned to not talk about mental
right.
health for
Go
so
chop
long, right?
wood, stuff it down. Go chop
Yeah,
wood. Go fix a car. Get over it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's I think what's so good about this movie is that they're saying it's okay to not be okay,
Yes, and
and
I love it,
you know,
but they're doing it in a way that's very tasteful and
yep,
shows hope. It wasn't like,
exactly.
listen, Joker was a brilliant PSA too. It really was. But there was
Yeah,
no hope at the end of that thing. It was just the
no,
wrong, it was just a dark message all the way through.
and that can happen for sure. But
Yeah.
I like the fact that Thunderbolts had, at the very last scene, they're like, hey Bob, can you fly us up? There's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
sorry
yeah, yeah,
guys,
yeah.
I'm like, so he's still 14
He's
months later,
still,
he's still dealing with it, and he's still trying
right.
to come to terms
And
with it.
that's
Like
what's
it's not
brilliant about it. Yeah. But what
exactly,
I
and
also liked too was so like when I was talking to my friend, I was like, this shows why Superman is so special as Superman.
mm-hmm,
Because Superman may look like a man, but remember, he's not one of us. He's not from here. He was raised by his parents, in Kansas, but ultimately, he comes from a colony and a type of people that are very, um, they're almost monolithic. They're very, like, they're above emotion in a lot of ways. So he's the
yeah,
perfect person to wield these types of powers because he's the guy who will use them correctly and fairly. Whereas someone like Bob, this just shows you it's the Bruce Almighty thing too. What
yeah,
happens if you're infused with the power of the Almighty and
and
you're human and you're flawed? It
exactly.
shows
Like
why
I
people
also think it shows how lucky they were with Steve Rogers,
right, of course.
right?
It highlights
Like
that.
yeah, and so like the again, like we've spent the last however many minutes talking
10
about
minutes.
the 10 minutes. Yeah, so it's one of those films that we're clearly
It makes
really
you
into it.
think. It makes you
Yeah,
think
it
so
does.
much. Like, did you get the message that I sent you and Matthew? My audio message?
I did. I didn't get a chance to read it to listen to it yet.
All right. So basically what I said, and I'm going to tell you. And
Yeah.
I think this is a very profound thought. What I had was, like, I actually broke down when I got out of the theater and digested it all because I struggle with mental illness
Mm,
off and on quite fiercely and grief and things like that. What it really made me think was sometimes I'm smarter than my own good because I thought of it. We name everything in human culture. We give and assign things names because that's the way we identify and clarify and make sense of it all. Well, the word matter, the word matter, we had to
yeah.
come up with that word. Isn't it funny? In my audio, I said, isn't it funny that science says everything on the earth and everything outwards in all of existence, meaning the universe, is basically boiled down and comprised to matter? That's what it is. It's made up of matter. And then I said, why did we ever wonder why that word was assigned? And then I said, the way I think of it is it was assigned because it has to, meaning matter has to matter so we can make sense of it all. But here's the funny thing. Human beings are also made of atoms, energies, and whatever. What does that boil down to? What do we say human beings are made of? Matter. Why are human beings made of matter? Why would we say that? You know why? Because we want to. It's the
Yeah.
one thing we all want to do. We all, whether we're a good guy, a bad guy, a horrible person, We all want to make an indelible mark on this life in existence. We all want to show that we meant something to somebody, to something, to a cause, a dog, a cat, a country, a group, a girl, a guy. We all yearn with ego to matter. And this movie really hit home on it for me because here's Bob. And what was he wanted to do? He
He
just
wanted to
wanted to
matter.
he wanted to matter. He wanted to be
And
somebody.
no, you're absolutely right. And I think that what's so good about the movie is that it highlights that you don't have to be the Sentry, the America
Correct.
to matter.
Right.
You can just be Bob. You can
You could
just be
just be
Bob.
Bob because Bob
And
was who Yelena believed in before she knew he was the Sentry.
I think Bob probably helped Yelena realize that she isn't she like like how Red Guardian, who's Alexi had said to her like
Oh man.
you've got your light back, and the light came back after she had met Bob.
Oh, he's
Now,
so good.
like I don't, and I'm glad that there wasn't any kind of romantic undertones between them.
Right, right. Me too. Me too.
I think it made sense that there wasn't,
It was like a
and yet
sister brother type of
e-
thing.
exactly, and that's just and it's one of those things where she's like, "Stay behind me, I'll protect you." He's like, "Okay." Like she
Oh,
realized that she wanted to be a hero like her sister and didn't know
yeah.
how, and now all of a sudden she has her purpose back again,
I
right?
have to
Like,
say, Florence Pugh has
oh,
overshadowed Scarlett Johansson. I say
hmm
never bring back Black Widow. I don't care. She's my Black Widow now.
I
I
honestly,
absolutely adore Yelena.
yeah, I think Yelena's characterizations, like what Florence Pugh has been able to do with the relatively
So
little screen time she's
good.
had, has been so good.
The
Like,
one thing I didn't like, though, I mean, it's not that I didn't like. I was shocked because I'm a giant diehard Seinfeld fan. I love Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She was in this movie a hell of a lot more than I expected her to be.
I
She
think
was
that's
in the
because they were,
bulk of this movie.
and I think that's because they were trying to build her up to be the villain, and
Yeah.
they absolutely did, and absolutely worked. And yet at the same time, she didn't quite. She was.
I wanted her to
I
die the whole
hesitate.
movie.
Yeah, like I hesitate to say that she was like an out and out villain because ultimately what I think she was trying to do was what she thought was right, which is ironically where the best villains come from.
She was
So
a wicked villain. She wasn't
she
Lex.
was, yeah, she was so good. Like I
She was amoral. She was completely
exactly,
amoral.
yeah, exactly, and I think that everyone in this movie, I cannot think of a single thing about this movie that well I would
No,
maybe change
I
that
loved it.
or
Nope.
yeah, like it. And so here, this is what my thought was, and I was going to tell you this before
Yep.
last week when I was talking about it, like we all know at this point my issues with revealing everything in the trailer.
Yeah.
I've had issues with,
Superman.
documented issues with Batman v Superman. I even
Oh,
said
that was
that
a big one.
Captain America: Brave New World had the
Yeah.
same kind of issues, right?
With the Hulk.
The
Yep.
yeah, the irony being that the couple of trailers I saw for Thunderbolts did the same thing, revealed the void at the end.
But it
However,
ruined nothing.
it ruined nothing, and it
Yep.
didn't explain. It didn't say, "Oh, hey, this is where the Sentry is going to become the void," etc. It doesn't. It doesn't
No.
say that. Now, I knew that because
Yeah.
I'm a
Comic
comics
book.
fan, right?
Yeah.
Because of comic books, so I expected that. In much the same way that I expected Red Hulk to show up in Brave New World once he saw Thunderbolt Ross as president,
Yeah.
and that made me
Right.
think that there's if you're going to reveal your big twist in the trailer, make sure the movie is good enough that
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. And it didn't
Yeah.
matter for Thunderbolts, whereas it
No.
did matter
No.
for the other two that we've mentioned. And I think that's key is that Thunderbolts just did everything right.
The cast
And
worked so perfectly too.
mhm. If you
Oh, the cast
obviously
was stellar. Like I didn't care about Ghost at all in
until
Ant-Man and
you
the
watch
Wasp. I did
yeah,
not give a
until
shit
you
about
saw
Ghost.
this movie. I so
Oh, I
what did you
loved her.
think about
I
what
thought
did
she was
you
a
think
great
about
character.
what did you think about Taskmaster though?
I was glad she got taken out right away.
Yeah, it's funny. So I was like,
I was glad.
Yeah, like
She would
Taskmaster
have
and
added
Ghost had
nothing.
very, I agree, and they have very similar looks as
Yeah.
well. So I think for a lot of people, it would have been
They
confusing to
had
see
too
Ghost and
similar a look.
Taskmaster.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
actually confused her with Taskmaster at first.
yeah. When I
So
was looking up
yeah,
who was playing who, I was like, oh wait, hang on, which one's, who's playing
yeah.
Taskmaster and who's
But
playing?
John Walker got the John Walker saga that I wanted. You
Yep.
got much more fleshed out John Walker, and he was great. Wyatt
Mhm.
Russell was great. But David Harbaugh is my guy. He is so fucking good. We can beat Team on Wheaties box. At the end with the cutscene, he goes, "Hey, oh Wheaties, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good cereal." He goes, "But I'm on the Wheaties box," and he goes, "I solved the problem. We Avengers with a Z," and they're like, "No, no, no."
Nope.
And the only
Yeah.
thing I don't like though is like, I figured Sam Wilson was going to join them at the end and be the new Avengers. Period. But
But
I guess you're going to have two Avengers teams, and I'm like,
it's not. So it reminds me of when the new Avengers initially started up in the
yeah,
comics, and
comics.
I think like with Spider-Man, Wolverine, etc., etc.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think what we've seen is the MCU's version of the Thunderbolts became the new Avengers, and I've seen people
Well,
complain, well,
they were flat out the
yeah,
new Avengers.
yeah, and people are like, oh, but there were no actual Thunderbolts in the movie. I'm like,
No, there
it
wasn't.
there wasn't, and I'm oddly fine with that because I think
Yeah.
it made sense given the context of the story they're telling. Things don't have to be a perfect one-to-one translation from the
No,
comics,
correct.
and I think when it is, that's when you get folks like you and I that are more upset about things like.
Yeah, because we already know what's coming. We're like, yeah.
Exact. Yeah, and if it's not like Batman v Superman, we knew what was coming from the trailer, and it wasn't done well enough, other than a few scenes here and there, to really draw us in. I
Right.
I enjoyed Captain America: Brave New World, but I think the issue with having Thaddeus Ross become Red Hulk, all through the movie, it's hinting towards it, and if you didn't know what was coming, that would be a
Yeah,
brilliant swerve. But
yeah.
it's
You knew it
it
was coming the whole
happens.
movie.
It's coming, and you're waiting for it, and it finally happens, and then it happened at the end. I'm like, awesome. Now what? Wait, that was the end. I thought that was the beginning of
Yeah.
Act Two. Like the movie, I really enjoyed the movie. I just felt that it was
I liked it, but it
missing
wasn't
something.
anywhere close to Thunderbolts. This
No,
movie actually gave me back my faith in MCU hardcore.
I really want to go back and find where we were talking with Matthew about what movies and shows we were excited
Yeah,
for, and see
because this
how.
was number two for me. This was number two.
Yeah, I don't know if I had this as high as I thought as I did with Captain America.
I
Like
don't
I
know if you
really don't
had it
remember
higher than anything.
where we had it. Like, and I think that knowing that going in, I was absolutely shocked.
It was
Um,
Fantastic Four and this to me, these two movies.
yeah,
And I'll be honest
ironically
with you,
enough,
Fantastic Four's got its work cut out for it. Because I can't wait to see this again.
I think this movie gave a beyond strong hint to how they're putting the Fantastic Four and
Oh
probably
yeah,
the
of course,
X-Men into everything.
of
So
course.
again, such a good show. So if you had to right now, with your recency bias intact, if you
Oh
had to
boy.
rank your top, I haven't thought about this either, your top 7 MCU movies,
Sure.
and
Uh,
you don't necessarily need to go 1 through 7, just give me your top
just
7.
rank, just name off my top seven.
Yeah, I'm
All
not
right,
going to make you do
count
that.
for me. Count for me because I'm driving.
Okay. All right,
Spider-Man:
1.
No Way Home,
Yep.
Avengers: Endgame,
Yep.
Captain America: The Winter Soldier,
Yep.
Thunderbolts,
Yep.
Deadpool and Wolverine, if it counts.
I would, yeah, I'd say it counts.
Okay. Um, Thor: Ragnarok.
Okay, one more.
I'm gonna have to go with what's it called? That thing. What the fuck? Why can't I think of the name of it now? Oh, I'm gonna take out Thor: Ragnarok. I'm gonna put in Guardians 1.
Okay.
And I'm gonna add the final movie is going to God. I just had it on the tip of my tongue. What is the name? Oh, yeah, the first part to Endgame. The fuck
Infinity
was it
War.
called? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Infinity War.
So your list is different to mine, but not that different. I would
Yep.
also have again in no order. No Way Home,
Yep.
Thunderbolts,
Yep.
Winter Soldier.
Yep.
I would probably. I'm cheating and considering Endgame and Infinity War part one and two of the same movie, so I'm going
Fine.
to put that Endgame in just for argument's sake.
Hmm.
Um, I really enjoyed Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, I would have put it if I could have cheated too.
Yeah, so it's my game, so I'm deciding. Uh, I know Logan doesn't count, so for that same reason, I'm putting Deadpool and Wolverine in.
Okay.
And then honestly, it's a toss up between either Black Panther, because I've
Mm,
watched that so many times and I
it
love
was
it
good. It
so
was really
much.
good. It is.
Um, and honestly, I really enjoyed the first Captain America movie. I know it's not your favorite.
No, I've
Uh,
grown to like it such a bit because I've rewatched it.
yeah, but I think if I had to pick one that wasn't any of those, like probably wouldn't be Captain America if I had to pick the final one. Maybe Guardians 1
Yeah. Isn't it
or
funny that none of us named any Iron Man?
look, Iron Man. Their movies are really good, and I do
They're good.
really enjoy them.
It's not top tier for me because he got
Not
better
any
as the MCU moved on.
exactly,
Yeah.
and I think that for me, Captain America and the Winter Soldier is one of the
Oh God,
very
top
best
pinnacle.
movies, and
That might be my favorite MCU movie. Period.
honestly, and I think it works so well because it's not. It just happens to be. It's a really good spy action movie that has
Yeah,
Captain America in it.
that's the way it is. That's exactly what it is. Kind of like how The Dark Knight is an amazing Martin Scorsese movie, crime drama with Batman in it.
Yeah,
Same way. I agree.
ex-
That's
yeah,
what I look
exactly.
at Winter Soldier as.
And I think now so many of these movies rely on what's come before. Like you
Yeah.
can't have Thunderbolts without
No.
the Black Widow movie. You can't have Thunderbolts without Captain America and the Winter Soldier, right? Like
No.
there's a couple of things you need to be you at least have to be been aware of to watch.
Yeah, yeah,
I
absolutely.
think you can watch Winter Soldier without anything, and
I
you
think you
can
can watch
watch
Winter Soldier without anything as well. Yeah.
and I think you can watch Black Panther without anything because it's the
You
very
can definitely
first
watch
one.
Black Panther without anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And ironically enough, if you watch Black Winter Soldier, no, it's Captain America Civil War is what I'm thinking of. But
Mm.
point being is that you can watch like Black Panther without anything. There's no way you can watch Endgame without anything.
No, no, no,
And
no, no. You need to have like so much knowledge to watch
yeah,
Endgame.
and I was talking to one of my friends the other day about Spider-Man No Way Home,
Yeah.
and I said honestly, it remains to this day the best experience in a theater I've
Oh,
ever
for me
had
too.
watching that movie.
For me too.
It doesn't hold up quite as well on viewings when I'm alone because
Really, it holds up every time for me.
it so it there's 95% of it does, but there's just these clear moments where it has this awkward pause, like when
Oh
Andrew
yeah, like
Garfield
it's
shows up,
waiting for the audience's
and
response.
it's like it allows the audience response, and he's not doing anything on screen; he's just standing there
Yeah.
frozen. Or is it even if he
Yeah,
had some
yeah.
kind of awkward like shuffle or something,
Yeah, 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 yeah. I know what you're talking
or
about.
like even just shave it down in home videos or whatever. But it's just that moments like that where you know that they're waiting for stuff
Yeah.
is kind of takes me out. But for the most part, I can overlook that because
Oh
of
yeah.
how much I enjoyed it. Um, but I honestly think Thunderbolts is right now is really up there for me in terms of my
Oh,
MCU.
recency bias is up there for me too, but it's going
Yeah,
to be even beyond recency bias. Listen, it knocked out Black Widow, which was one of my favorites. We
I
anytime we
love
talk, I
I
love Black
love
Widow.
Black Widow,
I do too, but
and
it's not as good as Thunderbolts. I'll just be honest.
I would agree, and I think the reason Black Widow works so well is because of Yelena and Alexei,
Of
uh,
course.
right? So it's going to be so good that way. I also really love Hawkeye, especially when Yelena shows up
Oh
and she's
God.
there with like Yelena and Kate are fantastic together.
Oh, they're so good. I actually wanted more of them. I was hoping that we would get a Kate
Like
Kate Bishop as like a cameo in this at the end
I
when they made the new Avengers.
I wonder if you're gonna see Kate Bishop on Sam Wilson's
Sam's
Avengers
team
team.
probably because it was that way in the comic books.
Yeah,
You had Sam, you had Kate, you had Vision, you
uh-huh.
had who else did you have? I think you had Wolverine. Some weird
Yeah,
way.
you
I
did.
think you had.
Wolverine was on
I think it was in New
Buck.
Avengers at one point.
Wolverine was on Bucky's team, I think.
Okay, but I know Sam for sure had Kate Bishop for
Yeah,
sure.
and
So,
I
I
wonder
think
if
you had
this is
like
how you're
Wiccan.
gonna.
I think Wiccan was one of them
Yes,
too.
yes, and so I wonder if you're gonna see Sam's team have. And I have no basis for this whatsoever, folks. Like, I wonder if you're going
Right.
to see Sam's team have Wiccan,
Yeah.
Kate Bishop. I would be interested if Moon Knight shows up
You mean
because
Kate
Moon Knight.
Bishop's? Hey, Kate Bishop's, how you doing? Oh
uh,
God, the mac and cheese.
like,
He goes, you ever have
yeah,
boxed mac and cheese? Yes, I have. It's like the best. Yes, it's very good, very good.
uh,
I love Yelena. She's so amazing.
it's
Yelena.
so good,
He goes,
so good,
are you fulfilled? Oh yes, very full, very filled.
very filled.
He's just amazing. But the okay, let's get back to the fun parts of the movie. When he
Yeah,
shows up
yeah,
in the fucking Red Guardian limo, when he shows up
yeah.
and beeping, and like she's like a kid who's getting embarrassed by her dad at school, getting dropped off. It's one of the best things ever. And that whole sequence with them in the limo driving away, and it's going like 53 miles an hour, and like he's talking about things, and she's just like slinking down in the seat and putting her head face over, I mean, her hand over her head,
Yeah.
and oh God, who can't relate to that? Who cannot relate to being
Oh,
embarrassed by their parents? Like,
it's so good. Like, and then you have them be so excited. Hey, it's Bucky, and you're like,
yeah,
yeah, Bucky's come. And like, wait, what?
yeah.
Like it just
Oh,
works so well.
Bucky's like, yeah, sure, the flying man, blah blah blah, and all of a sudden, Bob, did you say Bob? Bob. Like they're all like, and he goes, I'm sorry, did you say Project Century? And then he's like, all right, shit, you guys are telling the truth.
Yeah.
And then he goes, all right, we all be team, and Alexi's still signed up. And he goes, yeah.
Yeah. And you can just see Elena shrink a bit.
Oh, it's just so
Oh,
good. But I like when he goes, you were a little girl. Do you remember why you want to be goalie? And she's like, he goes, because I want to be the one, win, lose, always count on. He
yeah.
goes, you always lit up the room. And then she's crying and she goes, okay,
Okay,
that was
that was
pretty
good.
good. like,
Yeah.
like, they're just so good.
So good.
Like,
And
Natasha was good in Black Widow, that whole family dynamic. But, like, Yelena, you get the sense that, like, Alexi's her dad.
yeah,
That is her dad.
Ye-
With Natasha, they were
Yelena
all playing roles
Yelena wasn't as damaged as
as Natasha.
Natasha. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think Yelena is trying to not bury it down, whereas Natasha did. And I like the
Yeah.
fact that they're differentiating those two characters because of that. Like you have a
I
more emotional Yelena versus Natasha's very stoic,
Yeah, I
doesn't
just
say a lot.
love the beginning too, where you're like, Elena, everything's paint by numbers. She's so
Mm,
bored. She's like, okay, I'm gonna shoot, I dodge, blah blah blah. You throw, blah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Oh shit, I needed that face. I have to wait
yeah,
now. Like she's just so good, and then she's walking away eating an ice cream, and she goes, mission is hold on. Yep, mission
complete.
complete.
Yeah.
Like just so fucking good. And I'll tell you though, it was great when they're in the tunnel and they're all like stuck together like a centipede going up. Could you imagine doing that in real life? That would be the shittiest thing ever. That would be
Hmm.
terrifying.
And then
And
then
then
they
they're
get up to
like,
the top and like,
yeah,
what
great
now?
job, great plan, Bobby. It's Bob. Oh, when Sentry becomes Sentry and he's like looks at Walker, you knew Walker was fucked. You're like, oh, he's gonna fucking get back at Walker. When he's
Yeah.
like, and he just it bent the
Oh man.
shield. It was just so good. But the void, I'll tell you, the hardest scene for me, like I think it was a great scene, is when he's just punching the shit out of the void. Just Bob is just
Mm,
punching it over and over and over, and he goes, "You hit me as many times as you want, but we all know you're never going to be anything to anyone. It's only us here. You're never going to matter." And like, I go through those moments. deeply.
Yep.
Where I'm like, you're not going to matter. And your own self is your worst enemy. That's why it's a cliche. But like when Yelena goes, that's not true. And then they just simply hug him. And that's how you defeat the void. I was
It's
like, oh, I'm choking up thinking about it. Because to
it
me,
was
I don't care if you
so
call it
good.
cliche. It is the most brilliant, yet also
It
true way to handle that.
and I think people are so against cliches, but cliches are cliches for a reason because
Correct.
ultimately, right? Like, how many times have you watched a hockey game and the team comes back last minute and to win or tie or whatever?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
oh,
of
that's
course.
cliche. That's I was like, no, it does happen.
It's life.
It's yeah,
It's like stereotypes are real. You don't have to like them. Sometimes they can be discriminatory, but they are real for the majority. Otherwise, they wouldn't be called a stereotype and they wouldn't exist.
exactly. That's just it. Like it's no, look at me. I'm English. People always assume I drink tea. I'm like, well, yeah, I do. Like I would breathe it if I could. So
Yeah,
yes, I get there's a stereotype there, and it absolutely is true. But my brother doesn't drink tea,
right.
right?
Exactly. 4 Canadians are super nice, but I know some shitty Canadians.
Yeah,
You
me
know what I
too.
mean? Like, it's true, though.
Yeah,
Or
it absolutely
Bostonians
is.
are assholes, and that's true. I
For
mean,
the, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've met some
no,
decent Bostonians.
as a somewhat Bostonian, we're assholes.
All
Period.
right, fair. I'm trying. Look, I like the irony of me trying to stand up for Bostonians. Like, no,
Yeah, yeah, don't try.
no.
I just went to the
Yeah,
Red Sox game. Don't try.
fair enough. Fair enough. Oh
You
shit.
know?
So I think, folks, if you're still with us after this mishmash of talk about Thunderbolts, the consensus from both of us is go watch it. I I realize we've given away some bits and pieces here and
We
there, but
have, but
for
nothing
the
crazy.
I don't think that we've spoken about anything that hasn't been in the trailer.
Yeah,
Like, you know, obviously we've done it in a bit more in depth than in the trailer,
yeah.
but there's still a lot of the movie that you can go enjoy that we haven't talked about, and I don't think we're going to
Please
because
go
it's
enjoy it. Eat your Wheaties and go enjoy Thunderbolts. It is a
weird.
movie that deserves your time. It
Mm-hmm.
really, you know, I thought it, well, speaking of cliches, before I saw this, I was seeing all the reviews and all the Marvel's best movie, Marvel is back, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, they say that about every friggin' movie. No, it's
Everyone has
true.
recency bias on it, and yet at the same time, like, when I'm thinking about it now, a couple of weeks after having seen it, I still think about moments in Thunderbolts that I enjoy. I didn't have that with Brave New World. I enjoyed
I
Brave
didn't
New
either.
World,
I
but
didn't either. Nope.
I've I've seen headlines where it's, you know, quote, best movie since Endgame, and since Endgame, I was like, well, what movies have we had since Endgame?
Oh,
You've
we had
had
Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. We all know how that one went.
Yeah, you've had Spider-Man Far
No
From
Way
Home
Home, which is
and
way
No
better.
Way, yeah, and No Way Home. You had
Yep.
Black Panther 2, which that, you know, obviously that
Yep.
didn't go the way anyone wanted it
This
to,
was better.
given
I
that
mean,
the
yeah,
nature.
yeah. To
But
me, it's subjective, but I thought Captain America was better than Black Panther too.
I
You
would
know?
not disagree with that. Yeah, I won't say anything bad about the movie because I think given
No,
what happened
I
to
was let down
Chadwick
by Black
Boseman,
Panther
like,
2. I was let down by
yeah, it
Doctor Strange
I
2 and Black Panther 2. I was let down heavily.
Black Doctor Strange 2 let me down so bad. And I think honestly the reason it let us so
Oh,
down was
awful.
because, like, especially with it coming out after No Way Home,
Spider-Man with No Way Home. Yeah.
where you had that multiverse thing, and then you go to Doctor
And
Strange.
you
And,
just thought you were
well,
gonna get
now who
so
we're gonna
much,
get?
and
Yeah, now who are we gonna get? And it's like, I think
no.
honestly, if
That was the trailer that was ruined with the fucking X-Men theme.
yep,
If you had saw
I
that in theaters without it being ruined, what an impact that would have had.
look at how people reacted with Andrew Garfield. Yes,
Yeah.
realistically, we would have all put money on him being there, but he
Yeah,
was
yeah,
so
yeah.
adamant that there was enough doubt about it. Like
Yeah.
they never brought any of the other Spider-Men into the trailers.
I'm not the werewolf. I'm not the werewolf. You
I'm
fucking
100% the
werewolf.
werewolf.
You
Yeah, and
freaking
and yet
werewolf.
at the same time, I'm not mad about that at all. I am
No, it
so
was
happy
brilliant to
he
do it.
swerved me. Yeah,
It's better than when Tom Holland goes on and unintentionally ruins movies because he drops the fucking biggest scene all the time, and to the point where they stopped having him do like
press.
pre-release interviews
Yep.
because you
Or
have to
if they're
wait for
gonna
the
do it,
movies out.
yep. Like when he comes out at the end of or what he thought was the end of Avengers Infinity War, goes, "Don't worry, I'm not dead." And like, oh, what? haven't you seen it
everyone's
yet?
yeah, people are like, oh shit. They're like, all
Spider-Man
right,
dies.
well, we can't let Tom do this again.
Yeah.
But
Like of all of the
so
things.
transition from Thunderbolts real quick because I got to get going in a few minutes.
Yeah.
I'm sure you do too. But I finally just started watching yesterday because a friend has been up my bum for it all the time. I started watching The Last of Us.
Was it? It
With
wasn't me that was on you to watch that, was it?
no,
No.
Steven and my buddy Tommy, and like I was at my buddy Tommy's yesterday, and basically there was no choice. He's like, "We're gonna watch The Last of Us," and I'm like, "All right." I freaking loved the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
It is so brilliant. But here's the thing. I resonate with that show much more because I've never played one of the games. Never.
So ironically enough, I'm playing through The Last of Us 1 right now
There we
on
go.
PlayStation
Ironic.
4, and I still love the show. Like it captures the feel of the game so well.
From what I heard,
Obviously,
it's almost like a direct translation now.
do you know what? For the most part, the first few episodes, it is, but it's not. There's more context in the show, which I think is good because realistically, the
Yeah.
game is much more about
You
you
playing
know
through and stuff.
you
Yeah.
playing through. You go slow. There's a lot more enemies. Like Joel
Yeah.
kills a lot more people in the game for obvious reasons.
Oh yeah, because it
Now,
would be boring if he didn't.
exactly. Now, ironically enough, 5 enemies in the game can be overwhelming because like
Yeah.
he in the game, Joel's 50 years old. In the show,
Yeah,
he's a bit older, so he doesn't move as fast as someone 10, 15 years younger, and
Right.
it plays out so well.
Of course.
But at the same time, Joel is still a badass, and
Yeah.
it's really cool. Like there's some really cool moments in the game that
It is
translate
a
to
good
the
show
show.
so far. I didn't expect
But
it to take place in Boston.
yeah, it's so good. Like I love the show so much. I
So
haven't started to watch the second series yet.
what threw me, because I heard about Joel and Ellie. Like I've
Yeah,
heard about Joel and Ellie. I've seen the figures. So what threw me was I thought Sarah was Ellie at the beginning. So when
yeah,
Sarah was shot, it broke my heart. I'm like, no, 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 no. I turned to my buddy and I go, isn't that Ellie? And he goes, no. And I was like, oh my God, this little girl's gonna die, isn't it? He goes, and then she died, and I was like, holy fuck. Like that just like punches your heart to open up the show.
yep,
And then you meet Ellie, and Ellie, because I adored Sarah's character. Like she was she was such a sweetheart, but she was still a smart ass.
yep.
So I loved it when she was like, oh, he's like, how'd you get my watch? And she's like, I sold illegal drugs. He goes, what? He goes, what? Lots of kids are doing it. Like she just has that deadpan humor that
Yeah.
is so good. And like
What?
when you meet Ellie is all humor and snark, but
Yep.
like not the sweetness at all. Ellie's a little shit. And I was like, okay, I can deal with this, but it's good.
So the game Ellie is ever so slightly different. She's a bit more heart, I think, than
Yeah.
Snark.
So
Which
people were complaining about Ellie a lot, I guess. My buddy was telling me, like, they were
Yeah.
complaining about her looks. She wasn't as cute as Ellie in the game or something, which to me, it's like, you're sexualizing a 12-year-old, which is kind of gross.
100%. I think people were upset because Ellie in the game. Now, bear in mind, this was like 10, 15 years ago the game came out, and Ellie in the game looked like how Elliot Page did when before he transitioned. So it had a lot of, like Kitty Pryde from X-Men. It was very similar to that. And I think that's, people looking for something closer to that from Ellie. And Bella Ramsey's a badass. Like I think Bella Ramsey's fantastic. She was
great job.
She was great in Game of Thrones. She's really good as Ellie. Like she's got
There we go. That's what she was from. I could not put my finger on it. She was from Game of Thrones.
There's a strength to Bella Ramsey that I think really works for Ellie. So is she the same Ellie that's in the game? No. I think Pedro Pascal is much closer to Joel. However, I really enjoy Bella Ramsey as Ellie. I think she's really good.
I think it's great. So far, it's great. It was just, it definitely not playing the games made me, I think, enjoy this. This was a whole new world to me.
I agree.
It was exactly what you said. If somebody had never read a Century comic, going into this, they'd be wowed a lot more. But it was like, wow, this is so vastly different.
Yeah, and so as someone who had played the games, I'm watching it thinking, oh, this character, oh, that's cool. That's how they're going to
But you're
bring
getting Easter eggs. My buddy was telling me, he's like, you're getting these
exactly.
awesome Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Like you get the
So
voice of Joel, you get the voice of Ellie, you get things
yeah,
like that. And it's
like
like, oh, that's
you
cool.
didn't get as much time with Sarah in the game. The game opens almost
Yeah.
exactly with where in the night everything happens. It opens with Joel just jerking awake, sort of thing, almost in some ways.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you have no idea what's going on. There's nothing about
Right.
no hints
It's
towards
much more
anything.
frenetic. Like you don't get the
Yeah,
backstory of Joel's birthday and all that.
exactly.
Probably.
Yeah, like you have no idea that happens on Joel's birthday, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just one of those things where I think there's a lot more context in the game. They flesh
But
out
I
some of the
love the
characters a lot
show. The
more.
show's so good.
Hmm.
Like he still has the broken watch, and Ellie's like,
Yep.
dude, your watch is broken. Like I mean, like shit like that. It's just really, really well done. I just was, and I also the little touches like Joel lost his daughter, so he's dead inside. So
Hmm.
like when that girl in the show is like, oh my god, no, 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 I can't because they're incinerating bodies and it's children. He just fucking picks up the kid and thumps it right in the dumpster on fire, like no
Yeah.
big deal because hey, it's not his kid. He lost the thing that means the most to him, so he's just existing
There's
now.
just nothing left of him. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. It's so good. Pedro Pascal is very understated. He is
Hmm.
an unbelievable human being. Also, I just, he's just so good an actor. You would never know that he deals with crippling anxiety. You would
No.
never guess because he always plays badasses.
Yep.
Maybe that's part of his like therapy is that he always plays a
I
badass
I'll,
character.
I'll always remember when I saw him doing something for Fantastic Four
Yeah, and
with
he's holding what's her name from who
yeah.
plays Sue Storm's hand the whole
Yeah,
time.
like he's just having a like he must he said I'm start you could clearly see he starts to feel a bit nervous, so she just takes his hand as if it's nothing, and then they just carry on, and you can see him relax. I'm like, again, going back to Thunderbolts, that's
Yeah,
all it takes is just be a
right.
human to someone.
It's that was in Hall H at Comic Con.
Yeah,
I remember
I mean
seeing it because it got a lot of
that would
press.
have been that would have been overwhelming for anyone.
But also, Pedro Pascal's sister is a fully transitioned person,
I didn't know that.
and so yeah, so like at the premiere of was it Thunderbolts? Yeah, it had to be Thunderbolts. At the premiere, he was helping his sister carrying her train, like because she has she had a long black dress with a train,
Oh, nice.
and like he was carrying her train up the stairs for her. That was his date to the premiere.
That's
Was his
awesome.
sister, and his sister is absolutely beautiful. That if I didn't read the captioning and know that she was transitioned, I'd have no fucking clue, like
Yeah.
zero. So you're just like, wow, that's just such a human. Like he's not only good in that sense, but like he's not only good on screen, but he's good behind the screen too.
Yeah,
And that's it's.
Pedro Pascal is a gem of a human, and he needs to be protected at all
I
times.
can't wait to see him play Mr. Fantastic. I know a lot
Same.
of people are not happy about that. I don't give a shit. Yes,
No, same.
would I have been John Krasinski? I definitely would have, but I don't think he's going to bring anything what we're going to get from Reed in this.
So you broke up, and I'm going to repeat what I think you said, just because I know I'm not.
Okay.
We don't need to. But you said
Yep.
that Pedro Pascal. You said there's a lot of people that want John Krasinski, would have preferred John Krasinski, and after having seen him in Multiverse of Madness, don't get me wrong, I think he would have been a great choice.
Yeah.
I just think Pedro Pascal is the
It's a
right
far better choice. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one thing that throws me off though is the no white on Reed's collar. It really throws me when they all stand together.
Honestly, if that's the biggest issue I have with the movie, I'm going to be happy.
Right, and I'm
I'll
fine
be so
with it.
happy.
Listen, we're going to get Galactus. That's all I give a
Yeah.
shit about. We're getting real, true blue Galactus.
I have my theories about how the movie's going to go, and I'm not going to say them out on stream just in case I'm right, because I wouldn't want to be right.
I have my theory. I mean,
we'll talk about it off.
No, I'm not
Yeah,
going to
we'll talk about it off
ruin
camera.
the movie, but I believe the movie is a flashback movie, and then what you see in the Thunderbolts.
Oh,
is what the end of the movie is.
Right. Okay. Slightly different to my thoughts. So we'll talk about it.
Okay, we'll talk about it at a different time.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
folks,
have
I
no
know.
final thoughts because we could go
Yeah.
on forever. The movie is so good.
My final thought, honestly, is that as Bill and Ted so often have said, the essence is living.
Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.